Hey there, folks. Tim Slade here. I hope everyone is having a good day. This is going to be a little bit more of a personal, introspective video, but it's one that I've been wanting to share for a long time because it's, we're headed into conference proposal season. DevLearn is accepting speaking proposals. All the ATD events are going to be accepting speaking proposals. All that stuff is coming up. And whenever that comes up, whenever one of the conferences are coming up, like ATD's International Conference here in May is coming up, I always get messages from people asking like, hey, Tim, are you speaking at the conference? Hey, Tim, am I going to see you at the conference? And the answer is nope, you're not going to see me speaking at the conference. And I wanted to share a video, not that I thought anyone was wondering, but I wanted to share this because it's something that for those of you that know me, a few of you I've shared this with, it's something that I've been ruminating on for years. I've been speaking at conferences for 10 plus years. My very first conference I ever attended was the Learning Solutions Conference in Orlando in 2010. I got to see Nancy Duarte be the keynote speaker. That conference totally changed the trajectory of my career. I would never have spoken at a conference if it weren't having gone to that one, right? And I'm so happy I got a chance to meet Nancy Duarte and eventually I got a chance to work with her at her company and all that stuff too, as a freelancer. A lot of things came from that. And then I spoke at my first conference, that same conference, Learning Solutions in 2013, where I shared, 10 lessons I wish I knew my first year in eLearning. And since then I have spoken at dozens, if not hundreds of different conferences or events, big and small, with a few dozen people and with literally thousands of people in the audience. And it's been really great. I've loved speaking at conferences. Speaking at conferences helped me build my brand and authority and credibility. And I've made so many connections and friends over the years through these conferences. But conferences, for those of you that have spoken at them, they're a lot of work. They were a lot of time. They cost a lot of money. And eventually you get to a point when you go to these conferences, you get to a point where, you're not there for the sessions. I couldn't tell you the last time I attended a conference as an attendee, right? I've gone to many conferences, but it really isn't about the sessions. It's about seeing the people and the network and going out and doing the dinners and singing the karaoke and doing all the crazy things that we've all done in Vegas and New Orleans and DC and Salt Lake City and all the crazy places we've been. But a few years ago, I found myself attending these conferences, speaking at these conferences, just to be clear about my words, going and speaking at these conferences, and I'd be sitting in some awful terminal in Orlando or some other city, or in a hotel room or prepping for a session, finding myself going, gosh, it takes so much time and effort to go deliver a 1-hour presentation where I might reach, if I'm lucky, a couple hundred people, but more commonly a few dozen people, right? And I'd find myself time and time again in these random cities going, gosh, here's all the different ways I could be maximizing my time and maximizing my reach for different people. And that got me going down a path of thinking about really interrogating why I was going to these conferences. For those of you who, you don't have to admit who you are if you felt this way, but I know if you think about it, there is truth to this. For those of you that have spoken before, and if you've never spoken before, I hope this makes sense. It feels really good to speak. It's really good for your ego. It's really good to go to a conference and get up on that stage and have people applaud you and come and shake your hand afterwards and come take your picture and get a signed copy of your book. It's really good for your ego. And I found myself going and speaking at conferences because it felt good for my ego, but not because I was actually gaining anything from it, and not because I thought I was giving the best value of what I had to offer to the people who were attending these conferences. You know what I mean? And And so I decided I must stop doing conferences. Not forever, not all conferences. I delivered a keynote last year for ATD, and that was a great event. It was a great opportunity. But the regular run-of-the-mill conferences that we all do over and over and over again, DevLearn and TechKnowledge and the Training Magazine conferences and ATD's ICE conferences, I don't think I'm doing those anymore. Because I think for a long time I was doing them for the wrong reasons. And I found that, I can spend a whole week going in and out of terminals to go speak for an hour and reach a few dozen people. Or I could spend that time recording and producing some great YouTube content and help and reach thousands of people, So it makes me a little sad inside because I've loved speaking at conferences, and it's a lot of fun. I get to see so many great people, and it makes me sad that I don't think I'll get a chance to see those people as often, or the barrier to see those people as much as I've wanted to, or I'd like to, is a little bit higher than it was. But I don't know. I just wanted to share that with the world and share that with all of you. And when somebody inevitably asks, "Hey Tim, am I going to see you at this conference, or are you going to be speaking at this conference?" I'm going to send a link to this so that you understand why you won't be. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.